welcome to Cine-Mess, Embracing Bad Cinema. I'm Jess.
I'm India.
And we're two film students who just want to talk about some bad movies, film industry news, and
Puppetry.
We'll get to that next week.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk a little bit about some film industry news. India's bringing us that. And then we're going to, talk about some Oscar predictions. And lastly, move on to discussing the greatest film of all time, or of 2024, also known as Madam Web. So get excited for that one. But first off, India, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, so I've actually got some screen news, which is going to be pretty cool. So we all know Apple TV doing really well with Foundation. Especially sci-fi. Like, there's got the Orville on there. They're doing really well. But yeah, so Cameron Diaz is actually going to star in an Apple original film, dark comedy called Outcome, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. Looking more forward to that than I was to the Barbie movie.
Oh, that's a controversial one there. I mean, hopefully it turns out better than Argyle.
Ooh.
That was a rough one from Apple there.
Yeah, that weren't good. Hopefully they can,
make a comeback.
Yeah.
As long as they don't bring back Henry Cavill's terrible Sharpie-done hairline, I will be there to see Outcome.
Actually, I'd happily see that again. The Berlinale has already confirmed its dates for 2025, which is pretty cool.
Oh, fantastic. And they've just wrapped up Berlinale 2024, is that correct?
Yeah, which was awesome, by the way, because if you guys don't know, well, you wouldn't know, but I got to go.
And I'm still jealous of that. Yeah. It did look lovely, though, the photos you sent and some of the films that you got to see. I mean...
One of the films.
The
other film we won't talk about.
I mean, that's the danger film festivals, though. Yeah. There'll be some really good gems, and then...
There'll be some really shit ones as well. And yeah, June 2.
Popcorn Bucket.
No, not the Popcorn Bucket. It's done so well.
Have you seen it yet?
I have. See it at the weekend, actually.
Ooh.
In the IMAX in London.
So the big screen then.
Yeah, the big screen. They won't have popcorn buckets there.
I know. I was so disappointed when someone told me that they're only in the theaters in the US.
Yeah.
That was my goal. I mean, I think it's going to be such a pop culture artifact in the years to come. And I was really sad to find out that I wouldn't be able to get one here in Exeter. I'm not going to London to see it in the big IMAX. I think I'll be at the Odeon down the road. Still, I'm sure Dune will be a great film. I have not seen Dune 1 yet, though.
I haven't seen that either, and I probably should.
Yeah,
if I'm going on Saturday or Sunday.
Sunday,
yeah.
Yeah, which as of this episode release will be tomorrow. Whoa.
Yeah. So
we'll have to see what you think about Dune 2 or Dune 1 as well when you come back. But, I mean, what do you think about the Dune 2 success that we've seen so far?
It's done so well. It has actually dominated the box office. I think it's 9.3 million.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, really good. Especially, I think it's the biggest box office hit since the whole Barbenheimer.
Wow, and it's been a while since that as well, hasn't it?
There's been a lot of shit films since that, really bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the point of the podcast, though, isn't it? Talking about some shit films.
Oh, yeah. We're not going to struggle with films to talk about, especially in the last year. And then Kung Fu Panda 4.
Wow, Kung Fu Panda. I'm a Kung Fu Fanda. That was really bad even for me.
No.
Will you be sat in theaters for Kung Fu Panda?
No, I have never seen Kung Fu Panda.
How have you not seen Kung Fu Panda?
I live under a rock, Jess. You know this. I'm so uneducated when it comes to films.
I feel like as a member of Gen Z, you should have seen, some of Jack Black's, iconic films. As a voice actor as well, he has such a great range.
Do you know? I don't like Jack Black. Other than
that might be a cancelable offense.
Oh no! What have I done? The first podcast, I'm already being cancelled. I'm already being cancelled. No, I like Jack Black in Community.
Oh,
the TV show. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting poll.
Yeah, he's good in that.
So
that's kind of all I've seen him in.
Are you not a School of Rock aficionado?
No. I like the Nickelodeon show.
Oh, but you haven't seen the movie?
No, I haven't seen the movie.
I'm genuinely shocked by that. I mean, we won't watch it on this podcast because it is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
So, but I will force you to watch it on a separate time.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not. So yeah, that's kind of all the news we've got right now.
All right. Well, I mean, also this weekend, Oscars.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen many of the Oscar hopefuls this year? No.
Is it really bad to say I'm not actually interested in the Oscars?
Really? Oh, why is that?
Mainly because I probably haven't seen half the films that have been, or I don't even know half the actors that have been. Obviously, I don't know them, but I don't know. I don't know half the films that I haven't actually seen the films that have been nominated.
I mean, have you seen any of the ones nominated for Best Picture?
No. Poor Things, maybe.
Poor Things. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess
Holdovers.
Any of Barbenheimer. I know Barbie's not nominated for Best Picture, but they are up for some other awards. I mean, have you seen Oppenheimer?
I haven't seen Oppenheimer.
Me neither. We're terrible film students.
I know, so bad.
Yeah, well, I will say this may be controversial. I don't want to see Oppenheimer win Best Picture. I know it's going to sound kind of crazy because I actually haven't seen the film myself, but I think there's some really interesting films up on the list.
Yeah.
I really want to see The Holdovers get some love. It was such a charming film.
Yeah.
I watched it last week, finished Poor Things yesterday. I'm very late to the Oscar movies game, but you know what I did put some time towards instead? Watching Madame Web. That was on my watch list as soon as I heard about it coming out. It's one of the best films of all time of 2024. It has an average 1.6 star review on Letterboxd. India, what was in one word, how would you describe Madame Web?
Shit.
Okay. Just to give some context for listeners, are you very much into superhero movies or following the MCU, the Sony universe?
I was a big Marvel fan.
Yeah.
Like I loved the MCU, and then I think when WandaVision came out, I loved that. Spider-Man: Homecoming, Far From Home, all of them. I loved it, and then I fell out of love with Marvel because it was produced. It's been wow.
I mean, I've heard that become more common recently, though. People have started to get like Marvel fatigue, superhero fatigue, and I guess the question is whether it's the sheer amount of films and properties that are being produced, or if it's the quality of them. I mean, have you seen the Marvels, for instance, or any other one?
I have not seen the Marvels. Do you know what? The last thing I probably watched was Morbius.
Ooh,
other than Madame Web. Obviously, I just
so
watched
you're
that.
well prepared for this podcast episode then if you got Morbius and Madame Web. I mean, just for context on my end, also huge MCU fan. Usually I've been up to date with all the films. And I know someone's going to bring this up, that Madame Web is not technically part of the MCU, even though Dakota Johnson might have thought that when she signed up for the project, if rumors are to be true. But I was quite excited for it. I mean, I love a female superhero. I was so excited for more of the Spider Universe. I mean, with the success of the animated films recently from Sony, I was actually really hopeful for how this would turn out. I know Morbius was god-awful, but I was hoping that maybe they were putting a little more effort into it, especially after hearing about how Marvel was maybe falling down the line, try and make a great film. But from the moment the trailer released, I think it was almost obvious to everybody online that this was not going to be a good movie.
No, it was very much just Sony trying to keep hold of the Spider-Man name.
The property,
the property. Yeah, they don't want to let go of the franchise. They don't want to let go of Spider. They just want to keep producing these really bad films, and then, just so they don't lose the name.
Yeah, it's really
the rights to Spider-Man.
It's really disappointing because also you want, how do you say this? You want them to succeed. It's not like I want them to make a bad movie. I mean, I love bad movies, otherwise I wouldn't do this podcast, but I genuinely wanted to see a good Madame Web movie.
Yeah, no, same. I was really hoping this would be the film that got me back into Marvel. Yeah. Even though if we are saying that Sony, there's a bit of a bloodline, but, if we're saying I thought this film was going to get me back into Spider-Man, because also with Spider-Verse, I loved Spider-Man into the Spideyverse. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Madame Web
it just
No,
doesn't
thank
have
you.
a lot of the charm as well. And I mean, just to
No.
bring this up for a numbers thing, Madam Web, with the production budget estimated of around 80 million, supposedly has made only 91 million as of 2 days ago. So they've barely made back, if rumors be
bad.
heard. You know,
That's probably as worse. It's probably worse than The Creator, which was it was a bad film of last year. I don't actually think it was bad,
but for a properly or movie that has such a well-known property and what you would assume is an existing fan base behind it, that is a terrible, that's a terrible amount to be making. You would hope they would have done much better, but I guess if we talk about the film itself, I mean, I guess let's just talk about the biggest crime. They didn't include the best line from the trailer in the film. What was it exactly?
it was. He was with my mother while she was in the Amazon
Researching spiders?
researching spiders.
Right before she died? Something
Yes,
along
right.
those lines.
Oh, he was with my mother in the Amazon researching spiders right before she died.
Wow.
In the trailer, but let's not put it in the film.
Yeah, I think that was one of the crimes. I mean, we watched this film separately. I watched it in a theater where it was pretty much empty except for the group I came with. So, I guess they were very happy that we bought some tickets because I contributed to that, was it 91 million?
Yeah.
But sitting down and watching that opening scene, the prologue in the Amazon with the handheld camera and zoom-ins that one of my friends described as something out of Modern Family. The style of filming was truly something else.
Have you seen Arrested Development?
Yes.
Yeah. It very much feels like you're in a mockumentary.
Yeah, it added a level of comedy, I think, because of the style of editing and shooting. You normally see a comedic scene. So a scene that is about a guy stealing this spider from researchers and, killing some of them and chasing them down is made to feel very comical. And I don't know if that was the intention they had.
I don't think that was the intention. The film felt like it had been directed by 5 different people.
Yeah.
Literally, it was like they had multiple directors. They were like, so you're going to direct the intro. And they were just like, yeah, let's go with Modern Family vibes.
Yeah. And not just the directing itself, but even just the editing.
Yeah.
Going from that. I mean, I guess if we talk about, I don't know if you want to talk about the film as a whole or move through the narrative.
We could, whatever you want. I mean, it's a shit film, so if
there's
we went
so
with the
many
narrative,
aspects. I mean, there's a reason why we chose this film to talk about on the first episode. I mean, we're a little bit late to the Madam Web. Hype.
Yeah.
I would say maybe the criticism of Madam Web, but I do think, it's only a few weeks later that this is coming out, but it's just stayed, I think, in our heads and our minds. There's just so many levels. For one, I think, I assume also you've seen the film if you're listening to this by now, so you can't be mad at spoilers. But the fact that in a film about presumably multiple spider people, spider powers, almost none of them ever have spider powers in the entire film. I think the closest thing we get, other than Madam Web's future powers, is a man crawling on a wall.
And then my favorite, well, not my favorite, but one of the most amazing bits of dialogue. Wow, he's crawling like a spider.
Whoa!
Wow! Yeah, that.
I don't know about when you were watching it, but when I was with a group of people, we were just cackling at almost every line. I mean, there's so many bits of treasure in the script.
Yeah.
I mean, they desperately needed a script doctor and also to fire their editor among many other things, but
maybe like the whole team behind the film, maybe.
Exactly, and the thing is, for a cast with some very recognizable names, I mean, you have Dakota Johnson, and Sydney Sweeney now, who's recently been quite a well-known Gen Z star. It seems like they've kind of thrown that cast away. But also, when it comes to acting as well, I mean, all the aspects of this movie were terrible. The editing, I mean, there was multiple cuts in scenes where there didn't need to be. I think the one where she falls in the ambulance into the water or in the car into the water. There's like 30-something cuts within a minute. So there's editing of whatever way they directed this, but also the acting as well is very questionable.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson. It's like her acting is like she's emotionless, which I understand her character. She's meant to be like, you know, she doesn't get attached to anything.
Yeah, she's not like other girls, but there's not much depth to the character, and that could be because of the script she was given, but even so.
I don't think you should blame it all on the script. I mean, you know, if you give a script to an actor, they're gonna obviously they've got to. Yeah, were they intending for her to act like that?
I guess.
I really want to see the self-tape she'd sent in.
Exactly. I mean,
I need to see it.
And then separate from that, let's talk about our main man, Ezekiel Sims. What?
The ADR.
There were several points where I thought the speakers in the cinema were the ones that were messed up, or the sound layering. And then you look at this man in his suit, bare feet, slopping the ground, mouth moving, and the words not matching. Yeah. Like, why did they need to ADR? I know his accent was terrible. Yeah. The way he spoke was terrible.
It was, yeah.
You know, the delivery, which, considering the fact they ADR'd it, you'd think they would have been able to get a better take.
Yeah, yeah.
The fact that he's like, I need to stop them before they kill me. Like, the way I can't accurately convey it.
GCSE drama. Exactly.
Even that. Like, he would have gone on what? Like a D?
Yeah, probably.
Just that alone. The fact that they decided to use ADR and they thought, okay, this looks fine. Why didn't they get a better take? There's so many instances in this film where...
I know, but like, who actually okayed like that? Like, why do they not say, no, we need to like redo this?
Was he just slumped over the microphone and they caught him on like a night out and like, hey, dude, you need to get these lines in? Like, it's terrible. And on like and also he's probably, there might be other instances, but I think he's the only character who has ADR lines, at least to that.
Yeah, no, he is. I think he is.
Which is so questionable as to why that was needed.
Yeah, what actually went wrong when filming those scenes? Like, why did they have to do that? But also, why the hell was he barefoot?
I know. I think he's in a Spidey suit, like, a few times, but what was with the bare feet?
Like, twice,
suit?
yeah.
I think he walked outside at one point in the bare feet.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Like, I guess because we're on that tangent right now, costuming is one of my pet peeves when it comes to female superheroes. Yeah. I know it might look pretty, but I hate it when their hair is down in their face, they're in a fight scene, they're in heels all the time, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So in that perspective, I really like Dakota Johnson's character. Yeah. Of, like, Cassie, she was dressed great for what she was doing, you know, in, like, boots or, like, sneakers. She was in her paramedic's outfit. I had no complaints there. However, for almost every other character in these fight scenes, I understand they mostly fought the villain by hitting him with different vehicles over the course of the film. I think there was, 3 car crashes? Why did they dress Sydney Sweeney like that? Because in the trio of the 3 girls, the new girl power besties, I loved the other girls' outfits. You know, they looked like teenage outfits, you know, what you'd see someone wear and dress themselves in, and almost like out of a comic book, you know, just dialed down a little bit for live action TV. I mean, I love the tracksuit with the blue and red. Like, I think that was fantastic. But Sydney Sweeney, what movie was she coming from?
Yeah, it really was like they really let themselves down on the costuming. Maybe it weren't something I really focused on while watching the film. I was more focusing on the really bad dialogue.
True.
And the shit editing.
I mean, the editing was...
Do you know what? It felt like, I think like you mentioned earlier, with like the car going over the bridge.
Yeah.
That scene felt like, you know, on TikTok, and you get those TikTok short films and they're like quickly edited and they've got those quick shots. It felt like that. It felt like someone was like, yeah, we need to reach out to the younger audience and we're going to do like a little TikTok themed sort of editing style, but it just looks really shit in a feature film.
And genuinely, I think some of it was to convey Madam Web, Cassie, basically phasing through realities, perhaps. You know, you have the skewed angles, Dutch angles, like all throughout. but it just gives it a really amateur feel. It didn't feel as polished as you come to expect from this genre, which, you know, may be the fault of a genre as a whole, where you come to expect certain styles of shots, but it just didn't come across quite well. I mean, especially in the dream sequence when she was speaking with her mother. It just felt very odd, you know? She's in this blank void, you know, and little bits of cracks and spider imagery flashing across the screen. It's like shaking. It keeps cutting back and forth. I know it's supposed to imply that it isn't reality and, you know, time is unstable, but it just didn't look good.
Yeah, I think we also need to get on to the fact that talking about her mother, when her mother's she's like flicking through her mother's book with all the drawings that she did in the Amazon, and it's literally just cobwebs and drawings of spiders. Like, it looks so shit. Like, if she went off to the Amazon she's like researching spiders.
Well, I think she wanted to grab the spider as well, because you need to bring it back with you.
True, but you're not just going to sit there doing a still life of a spider and go, yeah, this is all my research. I didn't do any writing whatsoever. I drew a cobweb and a spider. And she's looking at it like it's her mother's, you know, like, work.
Magnum opus.
Work. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was.
I mean, they should put it up in the Tate. Better than most of the work in there.
I'm also questioning, okay, how... So Madame Web, Cassie, she makes a pilgrimage back to the site of the spiders.
Yeah.
You know, she goes back to the Amazon. And she meets the guy who helped her mom have a C-section, essentially. How did she get to the U.S. from the Amazon?
I have no idea.
And why did they send her back? Like, did he drop her off at an orphanage? Like,
it's like when, you know when they're all, like, she's, like, teaching them to do CPR?
Oh,
yeah,
I was so happy that the CPR storyline came back. I'll get back to that in a minute, but yes.
Yeah, yes, it was like when they're doing CPR, and then she's like, a little girly bonding session. It's like she's got her little kids, you know, they're like her kids, and she's like showing them how to do CPR and all of this. And then all of a sudden, she just hops on a plane.
Yeah, she cares about them so much that she's developing maternal instincts.
Yeah.
But she'll ditch them at the drop of a hat to go on a journey. It would probably take her at least 3 days.
Oh, literally,
assuming flying over to the Amazon, because you can't just get a direct, you know, commercial flight exactly to the spider zone. And then, you know, obviously hiking there, learning about her powers, and come back. It felt like such a waste of time. Like, why didn't he just, like, mail them a thing of water from the spring she was born in? Like,
yeah, it felt like it was unnecessary for the story.
I think they should have cut it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot they should have cut from the film, but...
I didn't mind the first Amazon sequence. The second one felt just redundant. I don't even know I can't even remember the character's name that she met. It was that, you know, unneeded, unnecessary. But as a result, we do get that lovely sequence with Dakota Johnson and her mother learning about her past, about how, but I don't have neuromuscular disease.
That's the best line.
Oh my god. It's like, yeah, put the puzzle pieces together, Cassie.
Yeah. You know,
the way she delivers it as well. I'm sorry.
It's giving me flashbacks to GCSE drama, but also can I get on to my favorite?
Yeah.
Please. Okay, I've been dying to say this, but it's when she sat there and she's like, I hope the spiders were worth it, Mum. Like, like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. I felt like it was going to be such a dramatic line, but
she says it like, you even said it better than she did. She went
I
hope the spiders were worth it, Mom. It's so like, and then she goes and talks to her cat named Cat.
Yeah. Give the cat a name. I mean, call it, I don't know. If we were to come up with a name for the cat, I'd call it Webby Webster.
Webby Webster.
Webby Webster. But, like, the fact that I know it's been a show, she doesn't get attached. Like, oh, no, she doesn't get attached to things either, or, like, to people either.
But clearly she does. She has her bestie.
Yeah.
Who works with her in the ambulance. Like,
yeah.
Clearly she does get attached emotionally. She bonds with Ben. They have a good friendship.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I know. And obviously she's not the isolated person they were trying to make her out to be, if you know what I mean. Like, she doesn't connect with people. She wouldn't have, like, relationships. Like, oh, what? It makes no sense.
Like, is she socially awkward? Yes. That whole baby shower sequence was so painful. But I think that actually conveyed better what an awkward person she is than trying to label it as... I think if they had reframed it as, oh, she finds it difficult to make connections rather than she doesn't want to, I think it could have actually been done better. Because then we have her awkward bonding with the 3 teenagers, you know. I think it would work that way. I don't know. It's just, I think she was a poorly developed female character, which isn't new for, you know, these superhero movies. But I wanted there to be a lot more. I mean, speaking of favorite lines, I know one of your favorite parts was the bit with Cassie and her mother.
Yeah.
But such a callback to talk about great responsibility, great power. You know, when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. What a line.
Wow. That was your favorite line.
I think that was my
film.
favorite line. I think with my mom in the Amazon before she died would have been, but it wasn't in the movie technically. So I have to go with great responsibility.
Yeah. It was only in the trailer, which why put it in the trailer and then not put it in the film?
I mean, it's very common, but also it was the best line.
Yeah.
Worst line.
It really was just to get, you know, just to rope in an audience to watch the film.
I mean, I would argue that it was the responsibility of the editor to not have so many jump cuts, but I guess no one gave them that line.
Yeah. And I also think we get onto the script. It was so badly written. We've kind of already touched on this, but it was like they'd got a BTEC student to write that script. Honestly, it was so bad. And it was like the dialogue it was never ending. It kept going. When you thought she'd finished a sentence, she'd then say something else.
They very much subscribed to the school of tell, don't show.
Yeah.
I think there were so many lines. I mean, the whole sequence where Cassie goes back to the Amazon to have a guy tell her to her face about what her powers are and how to use them. Again, so unnecessary. And there were so many instances of that. I mean, the fact that we never get to see the girls' powers really annoyed me because that was the bit I was kind of most excited for, to see different variants of spider powers. And yet, I think pretty much in the trailer, they showed all the bits that were in the film where they actually had spider abilities. I mean, before we get on to the ending.
Yeah.
Just, I think another thing, and it's really unfortunate that the studio only allows water inside, because otherwise I would have myself a big can of Pepsi. Oh, wow.
Wouldn't that fit the... Oh, that'd be so great.
Didn't you have a massive craving for Pepsi after seeing that film?
Do you know what? I have actually gone out and brought lots of Pepsi because of that film.
Genuinely?
Yeah. No.
Oh, I was about to say, are you insane?
Yeah, I am. No, I don't think anyone left the cinema going... Do you know what? I'm going to go buy myself some Pepsi. I think they left the cinema going to get therapy.
Yeah. I mean, I think they really tried. But I think they kind of failed at making Pepsi seem appetizing.
Yeah. Having a few, like, really bad shots of...
Dakota Johnson struggling to open a can of Pepsi. Why didn't they cut that shot?
So bad that she then had to pull her sleeve
She pulls
down.
her sleeves to try and get the tab.
Yeah.
This is at the baby shower sequence, and she still doesn't get it.
I know, and it's like, it feels like we're watching a blooper reel.
Yes.
It's, the whole film, like I was saying the other day, the whole film is like, we are in the editor's suite. We're like watching them edit.
Yeah.
Do like, you know, sort of like putting the film together.
It's like we've seen what they've discarded, and that's been made into a film.
That's made the final cut, yeah.
It was terrible. And I mean...
It's kind of like someone said halfway through production, your film's got to be out next week. And they're like, okay, we'll just put in some shit scenes here and there.
And I genuinely wonder how Pepsi feels about the results of their money in getting that sponsorship. I mean, you have that incredible scene where Cassie fails to open a thing of Pepsi. And then later on, I think the most memorable sequence is when the Pepsi sign takes out the villain.
Oh, that was the funniest bit. Do you know, I had to, like, rewind the film.
Yeah.
Because it was so funny. It's the fact that it was just, like, is it the letter S that fell down?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was the letter S that fell down and, like, crushed him. And I was like, what am I watching?
And even before then, they hinted at it so many times throughout the whole fight sequence. It's the fact that the whole time, I don't think Cassie or anyone actually lands a hit on the villain. They hit him with a car, and then with some fireworks. Which, by the way, when you say this building is filled with explosives, I don't expect it to be filled with fireworks. I know they are explosive, but I was thinking that they were legitimate bombs. But
Yeah,
maybe they needed to bring the rating back down.
Yeah, you'd think like a whole building full of, I don't know, nuclear weapons or bombs.
Okay, maybe
No.
nuclear weapons is a
Okay,
bit
well,
excessive.
yeah,
This is Madam Web. They don't have the budget for that.
They're spending it all on the Pepsi advert.
Oh my god, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the Pepsi, I guess it's supposed to be like, oh, the S is like Spider-Man taking him out, but why?
It's so bad.
Do you think Sims is now a huge Coke fan? I mean, his character may or may not be dead now. Probably not, but
they're never dead. They
never
always
dead.
they always bring them back.
Unless they
It's all
show
a
their
cash
last
grab.
breath, and even then.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's loving Pepsi right now.
is he?
I think he's in rehab.
Did the bonk on the head?
Yeah, it gave him a concussion. He woke up and went, yeah, I really want some Pepsi.
It's so crisp and fresh.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
He's like, go on,
Pepsi
you know.
24/7. It's all he drinks.
He's like,
he
hey
doesn't
man,
eat anymore. He
web
just
me
drinks
some Pepsi. You know what I mean?
Web me, quoting the episode name.
Yeah. I don't know. I was so annoyed that in a Spider-Man or Spider-Man related film,
Yeah.
even the villain who actually has spider powers never uses webs.
I know.
It was like they were like, shoot, we didn't hire the web guy.
It was like, oh, we don't actually have the budget for
Yeah.
that. So we don't actually have the whole budget for the film. So we might just, miss out
But
a not
yeah.
so crucial part of the film. Just like the whole web thing.
And powers.
Yeah.
I feel like they animated the first sequence where the spider teenage trio are using their powers. And then they're like, that costs way too much money to animate those 3 suits. Normally, we only have 1 spider guy, not 3. That's too expensive. So they're like, okay, it's going to be a dream sequence. The thing is, Madam Web, Cassie, is able to see the future, and she uses that to make herself into a clone or something and save all 3 teenagers. So she doesn't have to choose. But she's not able to foresee herself falling off into the water and then getting blinded and also becoming wheelchair bound.
Yeah, can we talk about that bit for a second?
Yeah, because that's a moment. Up until then, it was the final battle sequence.
Yeah,
I was like, okay,
yeah.
it's a pretty shit film, but whatever. This turn of events made me think this is camp.
Yeah. Can I just say, I was doing my washing.
Yes.
And I literally turned for about 5 seconds to put my washing on the air. I turned back. All of a sudden, she's in a wheelchair and she's got some funky, cool-looking glasses.
Oh, I love the glasses. Again, so camp.
They obviously put all their money into fashion department there just for those
Her
glasses.
red jacket, the whole
Yeah.
film. Oh, love that.
Yeah. I'd so own that.
Yeah, but okay,
They
how
should-
does falling off? Okay, so the Pepsi sign killed Sims. Okay, or maybe not. Well, I don't think they're making a second movie unless those contracts are airtight. I think they're all trying to get out of it.
Yeah, I would if I was them.
But
Or unless they want unlimited Pepsi for life.
oh,
Then they might stay in the contract.
Pepsi for life. I mean, they
That
might be
would
able.
rope me in.
Yeah, you might be able to make more money off of reselling the Pepsi than off of this film.
Yeah.
The thing is, so she falls from the rooftop, hits the water, and then you cut to the hospital. And I had thought, oh, okay, well, obviously, she had another drowning, she's hit her head. Because the last time she fell into the water and went unconscious, she was fine. Because she said, as she said herself, once your heart starts beating again, you're all good. Yeah. And she's a qualified paramedic, so I think we're supposed to believe her. But then you get her in the hospital bed. There's no casts or anything or breathing. She's just lying there with her head wrapped up. So you're like, oh, did her eyes get hurt? And you're like, well, I guess it's, the irony in that she can see everything, but she can't see. And I was like, you know what? It's overdone, but whatever. And, she says, oh, they're all mine. These kids, they're all mine. They're family. And you're like, okay, whatever. Then you cut to her house where she lives on the top floor of this apartment building.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, they panned up and they showed her in a wheelchair. And it's not, okay. I'm trying to not sound like a bad person, but I burst out laughing.
No say.
Not because the concept of being in a wheelchair is funny. That's not it.
Oh, is it not? No, I'm joking.
Oh my God, don't get canceled again. Okay, but it's the fact that, why? Like, genuinely, what does it do for her character?
I know. It felt...
It felt like they were trying to throw an extra plot twist in that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
they could have said, and even in the hospital, they added a clip being like, oh, she's got a bad head injury. Like, justify it, but it's the fact they make her seem fine. Like, she's got no wounds in the hospital. And then they cut to her in this, like remote-controlled wheelchair. Yeah. She's facing the sun, whatever. She's got those amazing sunglasses on. Yeah. Love the glasses. Wow. And then the dramatic
fashion
turnaround.
Icon, yeah. What
was the reason? Also, are they planning to keep her like that for the future?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping she's entering like her, Professor Xavier kind of era.
It was Professor X-ish.
Professor
X, the way she turned around as well, because now she's like a mentor.
Oh God.
But her ghost self is going to fight. It's like, you know how in Batman, Batgirl ends up, sorry, not Batgirl, but she was Batgirl, and then she gets contained to her wheelchair, like in the comics, because of, I think, a fight against Joker. It depends on what run.
Yeah.
Don't try and fact check me, guys.
Yeah. You're not a big DC fan.
Yeah, but they make all this effort to be like, oh, she's now a mentor for these girls, but then she's also going to be a ghost self. I just don't see where they want her character to go.
Yeah.
Now, for context, I haven't read any like Madame Web comics, so I could be out of the loop.
Neither have I. I didn't even know who Madame Web was until I watched the film. I was kind of like, oh, have they just created another random character?
I mean, it's such a slay name. Okay, I thought it was a stupid name, and then I thought it was a slay name, and then now after seeing the movie, I'm so mad no one ever called her Madame Web.
No, I was about to bring that up. No one, at least someone should refer to her as Madame Web.
Even just film. Like, what are you, Madame Web?
Yeah. Like, it's the name, it's the title of the film.
I know, I
mean, you don't see Spider-Man not being called Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, they call him Spider-Boy in some of it, but, you know, they never really mention spiders. I think the only time is talking about legitimate spiders or saying, oh, he's climbing like a spider when they're talking about Sims. I don't know, it was just such an odd way to finish the film. And it's supposed to be a triumphant moment for her, which...
Yeah,
I don't think having a traumatic accident like that is supposed to be a triumphant moment. I mean, what has it done for her character? I mean, she's unlocked her powers, obviously. She has these new students she's mentoring.
Yeah.
But if you go from a character who's very cold and turned off to other people, okay, I guess now she knows 3 teenagers but no other friends. Yeah. But now she's going to be locked in her home, not...
Professor X style.
Yeah, even Professor X, he had some buddies. He had
he had a whole family. He had that little cool house they were all staying in.
He had the jet and everything. Yeah. I don't really see what the growth for her character was supposed to be.
Maybe they just didn't. Maybe there wasn't any growth. It was just we know this film's going to go really badly.
I mean, again, 1.6 on Letterboxd apparently.
It's awful. Should we get into our Letterboxd reviews?
Yeah, and apparently a 12% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh.
I will say...
Tomatoes.
Tomato.
Bloody accent.
But just, like, for context, like, now we've sort of talked over the film, rambled about it. One of the first things I did once available when I left the theaters, I loaded up Letterboxd because as soon as that final sequence happened and you cut to credits and you're playing, I think, was it Songs by the Cranberries for the title credits?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Which... Weird. I love the Cranberries, but
weird choice in
song. I mean, we had Britney Spears earlier on, which I love, but like, also, why?
Can we just quickly, before we get one more thing we did not mention, it is set in the year 2003.
Yeah, I can't believe we haven't.
The only indication you can tell that it's set at that time is a flip phone, and is it to Beyonce?
Beyonce and this new Britney song.
Oh my
Otherwise,
God.
you couldn't really tell.
Yeah, I'm not watching the film going, oh yes, this is so 2003. Admittedly, I was never born. I'm not born in 2003, but
yikes!
I'm born in 2004. But
ooh,
you.
Hey, I was around.
Yeah, you were around. But yeah, no, I'm watching the film going, so 2 posters and a flip phone. I had to Google when it was set.
It could be a recency bias thing, but I think also it just didn't feel 2003.
No,
I think part of it was the wardrobe. Sydney Sweeney did not look like she was in 2003.
We've already established the fashion department weren't doing great.
Yeah.
Other than the red jacket and the glasses.
Yeah, I think
they really popped
Anya
off with that.
and Maddie, those characters, they were dressed incredibly.
Yeah.
I think specifically, was it Anya? I really loved her outfit in Madame Web. But I don't know. They just seemed like they were in different films, and that might have been part of it. It was Maddie was a character. I loved her jumpsuit. It looked like it was out of a comic book.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
It had all the styling. Cool. But yeah, the film they throw out the window, the fact that, this CCTV stuff, it's going to pop off in the future.
Oh, my God. That was so cringy.
Yeah.
I cringed at that line. Well, I cringed at most of the film.
We cringe at most lines. Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about our favorite lines, but do you have a favorite Letterboxd review? Or do you want to expose your own review?
Oh, I haven't actually reviewed it yet. I know. I will review it by the time this podcast goes out, but I do really need to review it. I'm just,
How many stars are you giving it?
I'm giving it I'm giving it half a star. Yeah.
Oh, that's harsh.
Half a star. I was debating maybe 1 star, but that's a bit too nice of me. Just for context, I gave Sharknado 1.5 stars. So this is the lowest rated film I have put on my Letterboxd. I know. And I've rated like 200 something films.
Wow, so that's a new low.
Yeah. Sharknado, Llamageddon, and Velocipasta were my...
Wow.
Actually, they were my favourites, but Sharknado was lower. So yeah, getting on to the Letterboxd review. My favourite review was by, now I'm going to butcher this name so badly, Lee Shrorek?
Stroke?
Yeah, okay. I'm really bad at pronouncing names, but yeah, basically, they said, Elektra and Catwoman welcome a new member to the club.
Oh, wow.
Once you get past all the reviews of like the whole Pepsi stuff and the top and like the ending, when you scroll down, that was the first one I saw, and I burst out laughing, and I had like a little. I literally had like a little crying. I literally cried with laughter and had a little fit in the corner of my room before going to my lecture. It was so funny. I actually had to send it to my dad. He loved it. That. Yeah.
Has he seen the film?
He hasn't seen the film. Now he does not want to watch the film.
Fair enough.
Yeah. He is familiar with Madame Web though, so...
Yeah. I mean, having seen a lecture myself, that is a harsh comment, but it's not wrong.
I love Elektra, but yeah, you got a point. I'm also a big fan of Catwoman. But this review was spot on.
India, I think that's a great review to have found.
What did you find?
I found a 2-star review, which I think is higher than I've rated it.
Oh, I didn't say what star mine was. It was 2 stars.
2 stars as well. Yeah. So actually, a harsh comment, but not a bad review.
Yeah.
Now, for context, I think I rated it a 1 star, 1.5. One of my Letterboxd top 4 is Pitch Perfect, and I have rated that 5 stars.
Oh, of course you have.
Yes. The way I review changes between if I've enjoyed the experience or about how good the movie is. Yeah. Now, I greatly enjoyed seeing Madame Web in theaters. I think you have to see it with a group of people if possible. It was amazing. I had such a great time. However, I do think it was a very shit film, so that's why I rated it so low. But I was kind of torn on that because as the movie progresses, I think it goes from just a bad film to something really interesting, but I don't think it fully gets to the level of like The Room or something else. The review I found, for example, I think it's related to that, is by Patrick Willems, 2-star review on Letterboxd, and he says, "You can feel the movie wants to be a camp classic, and the filmmakers, or probably the studio execs, actively fighting against that."
I love that.
And I kind of agree. I think it had potential to be a very camp classic. I do think it was a camp movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't foresee this movie turning into something like Morbius.
Yeah. Morbius is definitely, I'm definitely going to rewatch Morbius at some point. I'm going to have to. Yeah. Have like a Morbius rewatch every year.
Because I think with Morbius is that they genuinely thought it was a good movie. Madame Web, they knew it wasn't.
Yeah, but that's what made it funny with Morbius. With Madame Web, it's not going to become it's not going to become so funny that it becomes like a cult classic. Do you know what I mean?
I can only see myself watching it maybe once more.
I don't ever want to watch it again.
Like for example,
I'm psychologically traumatized.
Yeah, something like The Room, or what's like another bad film? Like some stuff I could watch year after year.
Argyle.
Argyle. No, I'm not watching Argyle again. But you know what I mean? It hits a new level where it becomes camp. It kind of transcends itself. And I think in order to do that, it has to be earnest. And I don't think Madam Web had that earnest quality. You don't feel that they made poor decisions, but I don't get the impression that any of them thought this was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
At least with Jared Leto in Morbius, you could tell he thought he killed it.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
think
think he's the best actor in the world as well.
Yeah, and that just
His method
adds
acting.
Yeah, it adds another layer to it that I think makes it it generally is fun, and I don't know, it's sometimes very sweet but ill-intentioned, but not ill-intentioned, but
No, I know.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't get that from Madam Web.
No, I mean, I was just recently watched the new Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus, and which, by the way, is like a whole Baskin Robbins like advertisement. The whole film. This guy starts crying about his dead wife, and all of a sudden, a packet like Baskin Robbins just flows through. And
It's
he goes,
kind of like Pepsi in this one.
She loved Baskin Robbins. They're like, oh, that's so funny. And
what was her favorite flavor, and
No,
what deal did she used to buy?
No, literally, it was like that. And then I was just waiting for a fourth wall moment where they, break the fourth wall and they go, you can get this at your local Baskin Robbins for like, if you watch this movie and you go straight there, you'll get $5 off. Something like that, like an advert. But yeah, that was a bad film. But I would probably rewatch that just for Danny DeVito.
Oh, love that man.
Oh, Always Sunny. I need to watch that. I need to watch that show.
Well, I guess Madam Web, it's been a great discussion we've had.
Yeah.
But I think
we need to like round this up and like
I mean,
overall,
we could talk about this film for ages.
Oh,
we already have before.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we decided to talk about it today. But
yeah.
I think we're going to do this today, and we're going to do this with other bad films
Yeah.
or TV episodes that we talk about. I think we need to establish a few things. India, you can answer me after this. I'm going to run through the questions. So first of all, is it a bad film? And then I think the second question is, would you watch it again? So first one, is it a bad film?
Yes. It is a really bad film. But not just in terms that it's bad because it's funny, or it's bad that it's so bad it is funny. More in terms that it's bad and it's kind of unbearable to watch. And as a film student, I'm watching it going, oh shit, that was really bad. Why did they do that? Why is why are they doing like dolly zooms here? Like, why is that there?
Yeah.
The whole beginning and the Amazon, that whole sequence confusing me. And the fact that it has felt like it's been directed by multiple different people really annoys me. I don't know why, I just don't like it. But yeah, it is a bad film.
I think I would say the same. I think it is a bad film. I think it is funny, but not on purpose. So I would say it's a bad film, but not so bad that it's good. It doesn't transcend to a level of camp that I think I require for it to be a rewatchable film for me. I mean, would you rewatch it?
No. Never again in my life.
Never again.
No. I am gonna actually go out and seek some therapy now.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
if I'm not here next week for the podcast, I'll be at therapy.
Fab. I probably will not rewatch it as well. I think, like you said, as a film student, you watch enough bad movies, I think, every week to kind of get your fill. But despite that, we decided to start the show to talk about bad films. So next week, we're going to come back with another topic that India's going to lead. India, do you want to tell us just a little bit about it?
Oh, so this episode, Jess got to, she begged me to, for her to rant about, Madam Web, but I love puppetry, and in our next episode, I have begged Jess, just because she put me through so much trauma, I begged her that we could look at The Labyrinth, which was, well, we'll get into more of this next episode, but it was a big flop at the time. Now it's a cult classic, but really, yeah, we're going to be talking about The Labyrinth and puppetry and how puppetry is a dying art in the film industry. Or is it making a comeback?
Ooh, who knows?
You'll have to wait and see till the next episode.
Right, so that was us talking about Madam Web.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Cine-Mess, Embracing Bad Cinema, and we'll see you next time to talk about puppets. I've been Jess.
I've been India.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.